Hello, everybody. It is Christine. It is time for a Scraplift Crafternoon. So let me always start with the original. It's an Instagram post by Scrappy Boy Mama. Well, Scrappy.Boy Mama. Of course, we'll have links and stuff below. And she's got two photos. She's kind of got this banner explosion coming out behind, which is neat because she's got these little rockets. This is so cute, y'all. I mean, I just think boy layouts can be so adorable. And I have a girl, so although she was a sporty girl, so it's no big deal. But anyways, so a couple photos. We got some embellishment clusters kind of down here, and then one up here. It's a slide diagonal. You know, it's kind of a wide diagonal, let's call it. But she's kind of got, like I said, this explosion. She does have some strings and some sequins on here. It looks like it was a stick it down. I think that's a sketch thing, if I'm not mistaken. So I think she may be on their design team, Brandy Joe. She's got a little bit of journaling down here at the bottom. So what I've got... But I decided to do, I almost started off to do those banners because I have a little banner punch and all that kind of stuff. But I came across this. I've been hanging on to this to do this layout. It's actually of my daughter when we were getting her wedding dress. So isn't she gorgeous, you guys? Ugh, sometimes I think, my goodness, how did that come out of me? But anyways, these are a little bigger photos than she has. So I'm going to have to kind of, you know, make it work. It's fine. It's inspiration. But I thought I'll use these two. I do have this tag, which was her actual dress, and she's kind of got, you know, stuff that, I don't know, I'm going to try to make it work. And then I have this Vicky Booten, it was a Flavors of the Month at the time, June, 49, the Flower Emporium. I do have this entire collection as well, because I did buy it. Again, this is an enabling kit, just so you know. You'll get the little samplings. You get a 3 pieces of paper, pattern paper, you'll get 2 cardstocks and stuff like that. This is not one of my design team layouts, by the way. This is just me bragging on it because I've been a subscriber for a long time. But it will definitely enable you. So I want to use this piece of paper, though, because I thought this would be neat instead of those banner pieces. So I'm going to fussy cut this out, and then I will put it on top of something. And I haven't figured out which one. I've got other pieces I could work with. Oh, this is, oh, shoot. That's a half and half right there. That's pretty. I don't think I've paid attention to that paper before. She's got a piece of white cardstock, so I may actually just go with a piece of this craft cardstock. Why not? Because these ones all have a little pattern on them, which makes total sense. Although this is pretty, but she's kind of got like maroons and stuff, so I don't know. And I don't want to cover up the whole thing with this, so that may not make any sense. Although this is kind of pretty. Maybe this could work. This on top of this. That might work. I'll fussy cut that out. I'm either going to go with a craft cardstock, or I might go with that little grid paper there. This is kind of, there's some cool, ooh, the bloom. Bloom is pretty. Trust Your Heart, because that was kind of interesting when she was shopping. This is not, she went in with a idea. She tried on a whole bunch of just plain white ones. And my sister actually talked her into trying this on. And she said, please try this on. And she was like, okay. And then she put it on, and y'all, she just glowed. It was hers. So I don't know. There's some really good little things in here, because there's Dream. I don't know what to think about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out this piece here. And then we'll go from there, because I don't have a full-on plan yet. I do have these ephemeras. Again, like I told you guys, I have the entire collection too. So I might even could do something. This could go but up over, perhaps. These are great for clusters, by the way. Vicki did a whole class on like clustering. And y'all, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a cluster or something up here. I couldn't tell y'all. I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't want to get overly plannable. I kind of work Scrapping on the Fly, which is Kristen. I love her channel because she's like, you know, she just kind of, she's not always working with a plan. And I totally get that sentiment. Like, I start with kind of a general idea, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have everything planned out. I get impressed with people that do, but I just don't. Okay, so again, trim off branding strip, cut this out. I'll trim these down just a little bit. I don't know if I have to mat them or not, because I do have a white border printed. And see how things are going to, I want to go this direction. See how things are going to turn out here. So give me just a second. I'll be back on. Sometimes I feel like you just cannot go wrong with a Vicky Booten collection. I love how this turned out, actually. So you can see I've fussy cut that little pinwheel, I guess is what you might call it, from the other sheet. And I'm putting it on top of this pink. I can technically put the date in the upper right if I like, because it does have that little date square up there. But I'm lucky because my piece of ephemera has the, well, technically I just realized that's the wedding date, not the date she picked out the dress, because the dress was picked out in February. So I may need to come back and put that date. But anyway, anyways, I've got that glued down. I'm going to actually do my photo, I'm going to say placement just a tad different because her left-hand photo was kind of on top of her right-hand photo. But in my case, I want the right-hand photo on top because it's showing the back of the dress. And you don't really have to see that on the left-hand photo just because it's part, that's the bottom of the dress or whatever. So I'm going to put mine the right-hand side up. I will put it on foam. I do want to have a little dimension there. And then basically most of my time on this layout is spent kind of fassing around with the little pieces of ephemera and stuff I've got. So the tag itself actually, of course, came from the shop. I do want to see, the bottom half of the tag had the promise, or it's technically her wedding date, but it's like the promise date or whatever, which honestly, if you wait until your dress is coming to you by September, that's a risk in my mind. She got hers in late June, I think. So really well, my sister was helpful there. She used to work for a bridal store, so she kind of knew the timing and all that. We got this picked out in February, and she actually ended up having to have no alterations, you guys. It was just ridiculous how perfect this dress was. So anyway, I've got the little tag on there. I definitely wanted that on there because, again, it had the name of the designer and the name of the dress. And then I've got those kind of organized so you can see the bottom of the tag, too. It's kind of, obviously kind of wonky at the bottom of the tag there. And so now I'm kind of just filling in kind of like she had, she had the little, like I said, her little embellishments kind of on the bottom and then upper right in a bit of a diagonal. The bottom had a little more along the whole bottom, but basically a kind of a diagonal. So I'm kind of filling this in. I pulled all those ephemeras out to see what I had. Luckily, there's some like burgundy flowers in the ephemera. So that was kind of perfect because she had those like maroon/burgundy flowers on her dress. So I'm going to organize those in just a moment in the upper right. I've got that red heart up there now. I'm going to switch that around because I didn't want the red up there with all the burgundy flowers. So I thought about doing that little card there, and I go, no, that's way too big. That's not going to work. So here's where I'm going to start adding the flowers, and this is where I realized that little heart needs to be a different shade. That still doesn't stay exactly like that, though, because, again, like I said, most of this layout has spent me fastening with these little pieces here and there. I'm pulling in 3 flowers, I guess, 4 flowers, plus a black and white flower. It's all about the flowers, right? This is Flower Emporium's the name of the collection, so there's tons to choose from. I will end up pulling the leaves in, and frankly, I do that off camera because I wasn't going to put them. And then as I was kind of looking at the layout, picking things up, I go, no, I'm going to use these leaves. So I'll end up using them, but I don't show you when I put them down. That heart's actually going to go on top of that love circle. I start with this bigger black and white, and I realize it's too big, so I use the smaller one. I will actually end up, like I said, putting... I'll put the leaves with that because it's kind of poking out a little more than I like by itself is what ended up happening. So I'm going to pull in that little cornflower in a second, the little purple pinky one. I'm also going to use that white with the yellow flower. Those 2 flowers at the very top on the left over there, I guess is my point. I'm going to use those. I did find this little phrase that says beauty is everywhere. I kind of love that. Let's see. Again, I'm just kind of fastening, you guys. You can kind of see what I've got going on. I'll actually end up pulling in now. So you can see I've added the leaves. And now I'm going to go through. She had sequins, and so I'm going to use some of these little puffy bits on this sticker sheet here because, as I said, I've got plenty. So I use these kind of in place of the sequins. Oh, shoot. I forgot. I got to do title first. I ended up going with that Trust Your Heart. I thought that was so pretty. And I don't know. I guess it's one of those when you're picking your wedding dress. My sister was like, try on the dress until you feel beautiful. Whichever one makes you, that's the one that makes you feel beautiful. And so you're almost like trusting your heart, right? You pick a dress that you may not have normally picked otherwise. And I like I said, I couldn't believe when she put this on. She just started glowing. Like the other one, she looked beautiful because they're gorgeous dresses anyway. And I think my daughter's beautiful. But this one here, she just started to glow. She was just so lovely, and I don't know, something about her face just lit up. I mean, you could clearly see it was the dress, and she looked amazing in it. And like I said, this one here, you can see the clips and all that kind of stuff, but when they get it back, it's the size that they measured her and her size and stuff, and it comes back and she needed 0 alterations. She's so tall that she didn't have to have the front, done at all, which was kind of good, because if you can see on the dress, there's like the lace itself has all these embroidered flowers and stuff, and having that altered would have been very, very expensive. So we got very lucky too. Again, I'm adding these little bits here as kind of the sequins that she had on her page. And again, the title's Trust Your Heart. I'm just kind of fastening, you guys. I just think this turned out really pretty. I was kind of trying to make sure the little hearts, I was trying to make sure I had like odd numbers of things, and the colors kind of were a variety. I got lucky because the little pinwheel has all the different colors. So it's like I couldn't go wrong with colors in a way. I had to pick out the little bits. Some of the little hearts have, it was like doodle hearts or something, and there's like little open spaces, and I had to pick those pieces out. I really like bloom too, though. I'm kind of not sure about that. I'm going to have to kind of find something that goes with that. Anyway, that is basically my layout, you guys. This really didn't take me that long, which is kind of good. I have guests, and I had said I have to get upstairs, so I didn't want to stay up here too long, but I did want to do a little bit of scrapping, so I'm pleased this kind of went pretty fast. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you check out the playlist below. Of course, always show the original contributors some love because they are kind enough to give us permission to scraplift them. So please be sure you do that. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Bye.